The following matchup is being played with HistoryMaker Baseball Express, a fast-playing baseball simulation board game, a property of Play Games LLC, copyright 2022, all rights reserved. Welcome to today's episode of the HistoryMaker Baseball Express Hour. In today's episode, we are continuing our impromptu rivalry week of East versus West, as we are going to revisit the Fall Classic from the year of 1990, as we have the Big Red Machine Cincinnati Reds from 1990 taking on the swinging Oakland Athletics, of course, as well from 1990. In this year, the Cincinnati Reds won the World Series, but the A's are looking to have a little, shall we say, revenge series on today's episode? Well, I guess you're gonna have to tune in to find out for yourself, because first pitch is just moments away. But first, let's have a little look and say thank you to our official Play Game sponsors for sponsoring today's episode of World Series Rewind as part of the HistoryMaker Baseball Express Hour. We would like to take this time to say thank you to our official Play Game sponsors for sponsoring today's episode of the HistoryMaker Baseball Express Hour. First and foremost, thank you to Biddy Beer for sponsoring every mid-game and end-of-game summary throughout every episode of the HistoryMaker Baseball Express Hour. And again, we remind you, if you choose to drink Biddy Beer, please remember to drink responsibly. As always, it has big taste at a Biddy price. It's Biddy Beer. They say it's a blend of hops, rice, and barley that gives Biddy Beer its distinctive taste, but we know better. It's our brewing process that gives our beer that one-of-a-kind flavor that no premium beer can match. Our bats have never been cleaned, so there's an itty-bitty bit of history in every can. Biddy Beer, the beer for folks who can't afford better. And by Doc Cola, the official cola drink of the Play Games community. And every game that we go to extra innings, it is a Doc Cola extra innings ball game. Doc Cola uses the finest imitation ingredients to bring you that sugary blast of caffeine you've come to know and love. With twice the sugar and 3 times the caffeine of any other major brand, Doc Cola is sure to keep you wired from dawn till dusk. So take the Doc Cola challenge and see why our customers agree. You'll never be able to wean yourself from a refreshing Doc Cola. And by Pizza Kingdom. At Pizza Kingdom, our signature New York style pizza starts with the crust. Then we layer on a homemade pizza sauce, and then load your pizza up with mounds of cheese. When it comes out of the oven, it's piping hot, golden brown, and ready for you to enjoy. And then we give that majestic culinary work of art to Mickey, our 16-year-old delivery driver who's as responsible as a tree stump. Pizza Kingdom, it's sheer perfection when it left the store. And by Suncoast Capital. At Suncoast, we live by one simple rule of investing. When your clients win, we win. And when our clients lose, we win, sort of. Suncoast Capital. You know we're gonna get all of your money anyway. And by Rubicon Wireless. Why pay $200 a month for wireless service when you can get 4 lines for just $25 a month? With our tin can plan, you can access our wireless network that covers at least 25% coast to coast between the hours 11 p.m. and 4:30 a.m. with unlimited text and messaging between those hours, of course. So why pay for a service you cannot live without? And we're just about set and ready to go for game one of this episode of World Series Rewind, as we are featuring the 1990 Fall Classic between the 1990 Oakland Athletics and the 1990 Cincinnati Reds. We are from Riverfront Stadium here for game one of this episode of World Series Rewind. As your starting pitching matchup for game one is going to be as follows. Tom Browning will be on the hill for Cincinnati as he has control, and he'll be going up against Bob Welch for Oakland as he has Star, Semi Flash, and Semi Control. This game and every game in this World Series Rewind matchup is played with History Maker Baseball Express. Everyone is on a neutral playing field. With that being said, lineups are out on screen. And without further delay, Tom Browning says he's ready to go. So is Rickey Henderson. Let's play ball from Riverfront Stadium here in Cincinnati, Ohio, for game one of this episode of World Series Rewind. We'll begin game one of this episode of World Series Rewind with a 1-3-3. Ace on Browning. He's not. Sad sack on Henderson. No. That'll be an RBI question mark result. And unfortunately, the decider die says it will not be an RBI. So therefore, that is going to be a no runs result of a 3 blank. And that is going to seal up the deal for the first half inning of play during game one of this episode of World Series Rewind. The A's come away with nothing, and the Reds are coming to bat in their half of the first inning. 1-4-4. Struggler on Welch. He's not. Sad sack on Sabo. He's not. That is going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if control. Bob Welch has semi-control, and the decider die says he does not. So Chris Sabo will join another runner on base, as it'll be runners at the corners for Billy Hatcher off the men on base chart. 13, fresh or relief pitcher gets the pop out. And again, when I say fresh, for a pitching standpoint, for a pitcher standpoint, it is, I play it as 3 full fresh, 3 semi-fresh. Everybody's on a neutral playing field. So with that being said, Bob Welch is neutral, so therefore he will get the pop out to end the first inning here at Riverfront as we come away from the first inning of this episode of World Series Rewind with no score between the Athletics and the Reds. 1-4-5. Acer dynamic on Browning. No. Here we are. Sad sack on Carney Lansford. He's not. That's going to be a men on base result with a base running. With a -1 from the black die if Flash. Browning does not have Flash. Therefore, Lansford will be put on at first. Will be trotting his way down to first for Mark McGuire. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart. With a 34. Slugger hits double. Mark McGuire is not a slugger, so therefore that's going to be a single, and that is all they're going to get as the A's threaten but do not score here in their half of the second. We head to the bottom half of the inning with no score. 1-3-6. 1-3-6. Here we are. Ace on Welch. No. Hero on Barry Larkin. He is a hero. So therefore, that's going to be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Larkin is a semi-active runner. The decider die says, yes, he is. You can't go higher than a 6. So therefore, the bases are loaded, full of red legs for Eric Davis. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 25. Iron fielder commits the error. Dave Henderson is nowhere near an iron fielder, so therefore, that is going to be a ground out to end the first 2 innings here at Riverfront Stadium. The Reds threaten but do not score as we are all deadlocked at a big fat goose egg between the A's and the Reds. 3-5-5. Star on Browning. No. Champ on Felix Jose. He's not. That's going to be a no runs result of a 3 dot, and that is going to seal up the deal for the first 2.5 innings here at Riverfront with your score A's nothing and the Reds nothing. 1-2-4. Ace on Welch. He's not. Champ on Paul O'Neill. He's not. That's going to be a no runs result of a 2 dot. Yes, 2 dot for Flash. And a blank for Control. That is going to do it for the first 3 innings here at Riverfront with your score all deadlocked at a big fat goose egg between the 1990 Oakland Athletics and the 1990 Cincinnati Reds. 3-4-6. Star. Oh, excuse me. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, we're in the semi-freshest innings now, and I go by with the decider die. I go by dot. He's still fresh. Blank. He's not. Since we're in the semi-freshest innings, it seems Tom Browning is not fresh. Therefore, it'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Steinbach is a stoic runner, so therefore, from 4 to a 3, they're gonna not. The A's are not gonna play their trump card early. So therefore, they'll place the runner safely on at first and second for Walt Weiss to bat off the men on base chart. Oh wow, 66. Scrapper hits single. Well, good thing the Reds dodged the bullet there. It will be a single as the bases are loaded, full of athletics for Mike Gallego. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 46. Same reliever gets the strikeout. And again, when we say same, for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, it is righty versus righty, lefty versus lefty. Since we have a lefty versus righty matchup, we Browning will not get the strikeout on Gallego. If Browning was a right-handed pitcher, he would have gotten the strikeout. So therefore, it will be a contact result. And I usually roll the red die for my contact chart results. It's a 1. Okay, so first things first, we're going to look for a whipper batter versus a flash pitcher. And it seems we do not have it. So therefore, the Oakland Athletics are going to get on the board thanks to an RBI from Mike Gallego as the A's jump in front of the Redlegs 1-0. Todd Benzinger will lead things off for the Reds with a 2-4-6. Star on Welch. He is a star, so therefore that's going to be a no runs result of a 4 dot, and that is 4 dot for Flash and a dot for Control. That is going to do it for the first 4 innings here at Riverfront Stadium. The 1990 Athletics lead the 1990 Reds 1-0 here in Game 1 of this episode of World Series Rewind. 1-4-6. Ace or dynamic on Browning. Nuh-uh. Sad sack on Rickey. No. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die of Control. Tom Browning has Control, so therefore from 6 to a 5, that'll place the runners on at second and third for Carney Lansford. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 45. Fresh pitcher gets the ground out. This time, Tom Browning is fresh, so therefore he will get the ground out to preserve the 1-0 deficit for the Redlegs as we head to the bottom half of the 5th with your score: Athletics 1 and the Reds 0. 2-3-6. 2-3-6. Here we are. Struggler or Gilded on Welch? No. Sad sack on Mariano Duncan? He's not. That's going to be an RBI question mark, Jack. And folks, Mariano Duncan has tied the game thanks to an RBI. Courtesy of an RBI as Duncan delivers the game tying RBI as we're all knotted up after 5 innings of play at one apiece. 366. 366. Here we are. Workman on Browning. No. Utility on Mark McGuire. He's a semi-utility. The decider die says he is. So therefore, that is going to be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Oh, wow. Mark McGuire has home run king. So therefore, he will put a charge into this one. High, deep, and gone as Mark McGuire sends a piece of cheese that Browning offered up in his sweet zone in the strike zone as he deposits that piece of cheese into the cheese bank, into the left field seats, and gone. The A's take charge out of the Reds here in game one of this episode of World Series Rewind as they lead it 2-1 over the Cincinnati Reds. 246. 246. Here we are. Star on Welch. He is a star. So therefore, that's going to be a no runs result of a 6 blank for Flash and a blank for Control. So overall, blank overall. So with that being said, we head to the 7th inning here at Riverfront Stadium with your score: the Athletics 2 and the Reds 1. Timeout. It seems the Reds manager has decided to go to their pen as he will bring on Rob Dibble to pitch here in game one of this episode of World Series Rewind. He has a star, double flash, and semi control for this at bat against Dave Henderson. Dibble will have the full extent use of the control quality. With that being said, we resume play here in the top half of the 7th with the Athletics in front of the Reds, 2-1. 1-2-5. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, Dibble is the bullpen hero arm, so he's considered fresh for the remainder of the game. Champ on Henderson. He's not. That's going to be a no runs result of a 5 blank, and that is going to take us to the stretch here at Riverfront Stadium with your score: A's 2 and the Reds 1. While these fine folks here at Riverfront sing a good rendition of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" along with a beautiful chorus of "God Bless America," as we do see the new pitcher trotting in for the bullpen for the Athletics. We'll know who that is after we take this really quick timeout. And a very nice job well done by the fine patrons here at Riverfront Stadium as they sing a good rendition of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" along with a beautiful chorus of "God Bless America" as we resume action here in the bottom half of the 7th inning here at Riverfront Stadium. Todd Burns will be the new pitcher for the A's as he has star, semi-flash, and semi-control for this at-bat against Chris Sabo. Burns will have the full extent use of the flash quality. That being said, A's take charge of the Reds as we resume play here in the bottom half of the 7th inning here at Riverfront with the score of 2-1. 3-4-5. 3-4-5. Here we are. Star on Burns. He is a star. So therefore, that's going to be a no runs result of a 3 dot for Flash and a dot for Control. So I forgot. Burns got the full Flash quality. So therefore, he has Flash. So that will be simply just a 3 dot result for Control since he has semi-control. With that being said, after 7 innings of play, the Athletics lead the Reds here in game one of this episode of World Series Rewind by the score of 2-1. 113. Struggler on Dibble. No. Utility on Jose. No. That's going to be an RBI question mark result. And indeed, the A's are going to add another run as it'll be a 3-1 lead now for the Athletics here in game one of this episode of World Series Rewind. With your score now, the Athletics 3 and the Reds 1. One, two, six. Struggler or gilded on Burns? No. Hero on Hatcher. He's a semi-hero, but the decider die says he is not. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Billy Hatcher does not have a slugger or home run king qualities credited to his name. So therefore, it'll be a no run result of a 1 dot for Flash and a dot for Control. That is going to do it for the first 8 innings here at Riverfront for game one of this episode of World Series Rewind. Your score as we head to the 9th inning is Athletics 3, Reds 1. Three, five, six. Workman on Rob Dibble. He's not. Champ, 356. Champ on Steinbach. He's not. That's going to be a no runs result with the possibility of a solo home run. Terry Steinbach has semi slugger. Oh, but the decider die, or excuse me, I should say, the black die is not a 6. The decider die decided to behave for him, but the black die is not a 6. Oh man, that's going to be a no runs result of a 5 dot. And that will seal up the deal for the top of the 9th inning. Last call for the Redlegs as they are down by only 2 runs, 2 to tie and 3 to win. It's 3-1 in favor of the 1990 Oakland Athletics. 1, 2, 3. Workman or struggler on Burns? No. Champ on Larkin? No, and that is that. It'll be a no runs result of a 2 dot for Flash and a dot for Control. And that is going to be the ball game, folks. The final score here in game one of this episode of World Series Rewind. The A's win a game here in our replay, here in our version of the 1990 World Series, but in real life, they didn't win any game. So reverse course here on that rewind portion here, as they look to have a little bit of a as they look to at least salvage a game. And this time we managed to give them a game here, but in real life, they didn't win a game. The Reds won all 4 games in the 1990 Fall Classic. With that being said, we'll take a look at our game one game summary presented by your favorite Biddy Beer products. And again, we remind you, if you choose to drink Biddy Beer, please remember to drink responsibly. As always, it has big taste. At a Biddy price, it's Biddy Beer. Once again, the final score here for game one of this episode of World Series Rewind. The Oakland Athletics defeat the Cincinnati Reds by the final score of 3-1. We are from the Oakland Alameda Coliseum here in Oakland, California for game 2 of this episode of World Series Rewind between the Reds and the Athletics. Your starting pitching matchup for game 2 of this episode of World Series Rewind is as follows. Mike Moore will be on the hill for the A's as he has Semi Workman, and Jose Rijo will be on the mound for the Reds as he has Semi-Ace, Flash, and Semi-Control. With that being said, let's play ball from the Coliseum in Oakland for Game 2 of this episode of World Series Rewind. We'll begin game 2 with a 1-5-6. Ace on Moore. No. Excuse me. Sad sack on Eric Davis. He's not. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash. Mike Moore does not have flash. So it's a good thing the black die was a 1. Because that would have been possibly maybe a 5 or a 6. It would have been really trouble early for the A's. We go to the men on base chart for the at bat of Paul O'Neill with a, oh my, 15. Scrapper hits a double. Unfortunately, Paul O'Neill is not a scrapper, so therefore he will put a charge into this one. Hits it well out to deep left field. It is high. It is far. It is gone. An opposite field home run for Paul O'Neill as he will deliver the Redlegs the lead of up in front 2-0 after a half inning of play. Unbelievable, folks. "4-4-5. Workman on Riho. He's not. Hero on Walt Weiss. He's not. Therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 4 dot, and that'll seal up the deal for the first inning of play here at the Coliseum. Your score is Reds 2 and the Athletics nothing. Excuse me. 3-4-5. Star on Moore. He's not. Sad sack on Todd Benzinger. He's not. That's going to be a men on base result. Oh, excuse me. -1 for the black die if flash or control. Mike Moore does not have either flash or control. Runners at the corners for Mariano Duncan to hit off the men on base chart. 46. Same reliever gets the strikeout. And again, it's righty versus righty, lefty versus lefty. Since we have a righty versus righty matchup, it will be a strikeout of Mariano Duncan to keep the score right here at a 2-0 advantage for the Cincinnati Reds. 2-5-6. 2-5-6. Here we are. Workman on Riho. He's not. Sad sack on Gallego. He's not. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash. Riho does have flash. So therefore, that 2 will be reduced to a 1, putting the runner on at first base for Rickey Henderson. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 66. Scrapper hits single. Henderson, Rickey Henderson, that is not a scrapper. So therefore, it's going to be a double. And my goodness, folks, the A's do get on the board thanks to an RBI double by Rickey Henderson. And that is going to bring up Carney Lansford. He will take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 22. Batting at home. You better believe it, the A's are batting at home. So therefore, it's going to be a single. Runners at the corners for Jose Canseco, the designated hitter for this ball game. Oh, wow. 66. Scrapper hits single. Well, unfortunately, Jose Canseco is not a scrapper. The A's are going to take the lead 3-2 over the Cincinnati Reds. Unbelievable, as Canseco will deliver an RBI, bases clearing RBI double. I should say 2 RBI double, as the A's now lead it 3-2 over the Cincinnati Reds. Unbelievable. We remain on the men on base chart for Mark McGwire's at bat with a 16. Good eye. No, Mark McGwire does not have a good eye. So therefore, it will be a strikeout to end the little rally here for the Athletics. It's still anybody's game as we end the first 2 innings here at the Coliseum with the score Athletics 3, Reds 2. 1-2-5. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, Mike Moore is still fresh because we're playing it as 3 full fresh, 3 semi-fresh. 1-2-5. Here we are. Champ on Joe Oliver. He's not. So therefore, it'll be a no runs result of a 1 blank, and that is going to seal up the deal for the first 2.5 innings here at the Coliseum with your score: A's 3 and the Reds 2. 1-2-4. Ace on Riho. He is a semi-ace, and the decider die says yes, he is. So therefore, that's going to be a no runs result of a 1 dot, and that is going to seal up the deal for the first 3 innings here at the Coliseum for Game 2 of this episode of World Series Rewind. We have the score go into the 4th inning of a lead for the Athletics of a 3-2 score. Three, 5, 6. As we resume play here in the 4th inning, Workman on Moore. He's a semi-workman. However, the decider die says he's not. Champ on Braggs, the designated hitter for the Cincinnati Reds. He is 3, 5, 6. Oh, I'm sorry. 3, 5, 6. Champ on Braggs. He's not a champ, so therefore, that's going to be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Glenn Braggs is a semi slugger. The black die is a 6. Did he get the home run to tie it? Oh, he did not. Oh, so close. He gave that puppy dog a ride, but it just died on the warning track as the right fielder makes the catch. Oh, just missed it by a few feet. Just missed it by a few inches, and that is going to do it for the first 3.5 innings here at the Coliseum with your score: the Athletics 3 and the Reds 2. 4, 5, 6. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, Jose Rijo. We're in the semi-freshest innings. And again, when we're in the semi-freshest innings, I go with the decider die as dot, he's still fresh. Blank, he's not. So with that being said, according to the decider die, I can't believe this. Jose Rijo is not fresh. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Felix Jose is a neutral runner. So therefore, that 5 is going to stay put, putting the runners on at 2nd and 3rd for Terry Steinbach to hit off the men on base chart. We got a 12. Slugger hits home run. Terry Steinbach is a semi-slugger. However, the decider die says he's not. So therefore, it's going to be a single. 2 runs are going to come across to score because the runner on 3rd scores, the runner on 2nd scores, runners advances to base. So it'll be an 2 RBI single, and the Athletics grab a huge lead over the Reds. Now the score of 5-2 here in Game 2 of this episode of World Series Rewind. We're through 4 innings with your score: Athletics 5 and the Reds 2. 1-6-6. Ace on Moore. He's not. Sad sack on Sabo. No. That's going to be a men on base result men on base with a base running adjustment. Chris Sabo is a semi-active runner, and unfortunately the decider die says no. So therefore, that 6 is going to remain put as it is now bases loaded for Billy Hatcher to hit off the men on base chart. 23. Eager batter. Hatcher is a semi-eager. However, the decider die says he is not. Station to station, that'll be a bases loaded walk, and that is going to bring up Barry Larkin off the men on base chart. 56. Patient draws the walk. Oh, Barry Larkin's not a patient batter, so therefore It's going to be a contact result, and I usually roll the red die for my contact chart results. It's a 3. Stat sack or utility. Barry Larkin is neither a stat sack or a utility. It's a one-run game now as Barry Larkin delivers an RBI. Man, oh man, folks, don't count out the Reds in this game just yet. We head to the bottom of the 5th with your score, A's 5, Reds 4. $255. Struggler on Riho. No. Utility on Walt Weiss. He is not. That's going to be a men on base result with a -1 for the black die if flash. Riho does have flash. So from 5 to a 4, that'll place the runners at the corners for Mike Gallego. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart, and no matter what, both pitchers probably have pitched their last inning of work. And like I said, last inning of work, unbelievable. 15. Scrapper hits a double. Oh my! Mike Gallego is a scrapper, so the Reds can thank their lucky stars. They're only getting 1 run out of this as the runner on third scores. The runner on first is going to go to third, as there will be runners on at second and third for Rickey Henderson. 45. Fresh pitcher gets the ground out. Again, we're in the semi-freshest innings, and I go by the decider die as dot he's fresh, blank he's not. In this case, he is not fresh, so therefore that is going to be a single. 2 runs are going to come across to score as the runner on third scores and the runner on second will score. It's now 8-4 A's, and that is going to be all she wrote for Jose Rijo as the manager is saying, cut it right there. So after 5 innings of play, your score is A's 8 and the Reds 4. Timeout. And it seems the Athletics manager has decided to go to Rick Honeycutt as he has star, semi-flash, and semi-control. For this at-bat against Eric Davis, Honeycutt will have the full extent use of the semi-ace quality. With that being said, the score remains A's 8, Reds 4 as we enter play here in the top half of the 6th inning. 1-1-3. Struggler on Honeycutt. No. Utility on Davis. No. That's going to be an RBI question mark result. And unfortunately, the decider die says no. So therefore, that is going to do it with a no runs result of a 1 dot for flash and a blank for control. That is going to do it for the first 5.5 innings here at the Coliseum with your score, A's 8, Reds 4. Timeout. And it seems that the Cincinnati Reds manager has decided to bring on Scott Scudder as he has Workman and Semi-Flash credited to his name. For this at-bat against Carney Lansford, Scudder will have the full extent use of getting the semi-ace quality. With that being said, we continue to roll on here in the bottom half of the 6th with your score, the Athletics 8 and the Reds 4. 2-3-4 is what we're going to resume with here in the bottom half of the 6th. Pitcher not fresh. Well, Scudder just came in from the bullpen. He is considered fresh for the remainder of the contest. Sadsack on Lansford. He's not. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if control. Scudder does not have control, so therefore that too will remain put. Putting runners on at second base for Jose Canseco, the bat off the men on base chart. We have a 44. Wild pitcher. No, Scott Scudder's not wild. So therefore, that is going to be a flyout to end the first 6 innings here at the Coliseum for Game 2 of this episode of World Series Rewind The Reds are down by 4. It's A's 8, Reds 4. 114. Struggler on Honeycutt. No. 114. Here we are. Champ on Paul O'Neill. He's not. That's going to be a no runs result of a 1 dot. Yes, dot for Flash. And a dot for Control. We head to the stretch here at the Coliseum with the A's in front, 8-4 over the Cincinnati Reds. 2-4-5. Struggler on Scudder. No. Sadsack on McGuire. He's not. That'll be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if Flash or Control. Scudder has semi-flash, and the decider die says he does not. 2-4-5. Yes, he does not. So therefore, that 5 will remain putting runners on at second and third for Dave Henderson. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 44. Wild pitcher, no, Scott Scudder's not wild. So therefore, it will be a flyout to end the 7th inning here at the Coliseum with your score, the A's 8 and the Reds 4. 2-3-4. 2-3-4. Here we are. Pitcher not fresh. Well, Rick Honeycutt is the bullpen hero arm, so therefore he is considered fresh for the remainder of the game. Sadsack on Todd Benzinger. He's not. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if Control. Rick Honeycutt has semi-control, and the decider die says he does. Therefore, from 3 to a 2, putting Benzinger on at second for Mariano Duncan. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 44. Wild? No, Rick Honeycutt's not wild. So therefore, it will be a flyout to end the top half of the 8th. Your score remains 8-4 in favor of the 1990 Oakland Athletics. 4-5-5. Workman on Scudder. He is a workman, so therefore that is going to be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Felix Jose is a neutral runner, so therefore that 4 is going to stay putting runners at the corners for Terry Steinbach. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart with a 12. Slugger hits home run. This time Terry Steinbach gets the decider die to show up dot, and folks, Steinbach put a charge into this one. High, deep, and out of here. The Athletics are routing, and I mean routing, the 1990 Cincinnati Reds as they now lead it 11-4. We resume play off the men on base chart for Walt Weiss. 45. Fresh pitcher gets the ground out. And again, we're way past the freshest inning, so therefore it will be a single. Can't go to the bullpen. So therefore, it's the runner on. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a second. Oh, I'm sorry. Scott Scudder is fresh. My fault. Take that. Scratch that single. He will be getting the ground out. My fault there. So therefore, it will be a ground out, as I forgot. Scott Scudder was the bullpen hero arm for the Cincinnati Reds. So therefore, scratch that single, and it will be changed to a ground out. With that being said, we head to the 9th inning. Last call for the Redlegs. They need to come up big here, as they are down 11-4 over the Oakland Athletics. 1-4-6. Excuse me. Ace on Honeycutt. No. Or Dynamic on Honeycutt. No. Statsack on Oliver. No. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die of Control. Honeycutt has semi-control, and the decider die says he does. So therefore, it will be a no-runs result of a 4 dot for Flash and a dot for Control. And folks, that is going to be the ball game. The final score here for Game 2 of this episode of World Series Rewind. Your score is A's 11 and the Reds 4. And I really hate to say it, folks. The A's may have won this episode of World Series Rewind, even though the Reds won in real life 4 games to none. But can the A's pull off a reverse sweep in our edition of the 1990 Fall Classic here for Game 3 of this episode of World Series Rewind? I guess we're going to have to find out because your pitching matchup for Game 3 is a doozy. Danny Jackson will be on the hill for the Reds, and he will be opposed by Dave Stewart. Jackson has semi-star, semi-flash, and semi-control, while Dave Stewart has semi-ace, semi-flash, and semi-control. With that being said, Mike Gallego will lead things off here at Riverfront Stadium for Game 3 of this episode of World Series Rewind. Will the Reds find a way to salvage a game in this set, or will the A's sweep the Redlegs and pull off a reverse sweep of the 1990 World Series? It's time to find out as we play Game 3 from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. 3-4-5 is what we're going to begin Game 3 with. Star on Jackson. He's a semi-star. However, the decider die says no. Sad sack on Gallego. He's a semi-sad sack. The decider die says he's not. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if flash or control. Jackson has semi-flash and semi-control. Does he have flash? No. What about control? He does. So 3 goes to a 2, putting runners on at second base for Rickey Henderson. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart of a 16. Good eye. Rickey Henderson does not have a good eye, so therefore, that is going to be a strikeout. The A's threaten but do not score here in the first inning here at Riverfront Stadium. Here in the top half of the first, here at Riverfront, it's A's nothing, and the Reds are coming to bat in their half of the first inning. Two, 4, 6. 2, 4, 6. Here we are. Star on Stewart. No. Champ on Braggs. This time, Braggs is into the game playing in right field. He is not a champ, so therefore, that's going to be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Glenn Braggs has semi-slugger. However, the decider die, the black 6 is there. However, the decider die says no. Yes, he does not get the home run, so therefore it'll be a no runs result of a 2 dot for Flash and also a dot for Control, and that's going to do it for the first inning of play here at Riverfront Stadium. The A's and the Reds are all deadlocked at 0-0. 1-4-6. Ace or dynamic on Jackson. No. Sad sack on Lansford. No. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if control. Jackson has semi-control, and the decider die says he does not. So therefore, that is going to place the runner on at first base for Mark McGuire to bat off the men on base chart. 14. Scrapper hits single. Mark McGwire is not a scrapper, so therefore that is going to be a double. And the A's are going to take charge early here in this one, 1-0 of a 1-0 lead, as Mark McGwire will bring home an RBI thanks to a double from Mark McGwire, and that'll bring up Dave Henderson off the men on base chart. 23. Eager grounds out. Well, Dave Henderson is not an eager batter, so therefore, that is going to be a walk. Runners on first and second for Felix Jose. 46. Same reliever gets a strikeout. And again, when we say same, it's righty versus righty, lefty versus lefty. We have a switch hitter in Felix Jose up at the dish, and normally for switch hitters, when facing against a left-handed pitcher, they would be batting right-handed. So therefore, they are not the same. So therefore, it will be a contact result, and I usually roll the red die for my contact chart results. We have a 2. Sad sack on Jose. He's not a sad sack. So therefore, A's are going to add on another run. It's 2-0 now in favor of the 1990 Oakland Athletics, as they are looking to sweep the Cincinnati Reds here in this episode of World Series Rewind. Three, 4. Star on Stewart. No. Utility on Chris Sabo. He's not. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die if control. Dave Stewart has semi-control, and the decider die says he does. That 4 will be reduced to a 3. So therefore, Chris Sabo will be, or excuse me, the runners, will be placed out on at first and second, as the Reds are not going to pull their trump card early. And with that, we head to the men on base chart for Billy Hatcher's at bat of a 24. Goldfielder makes the out. Steinbach is not gold. So therefore, that is going to be an error to load up the bases. Oh boy, for Barry Larkin. I wonder how this is going to turn out, folks. 44. Wild pitcher. No, Dave Stewart is not wild. So therefore, it's going to be a flyout. So the A's do get out of a bases loaded jam. The Reds threaten but do not score. It remains Athletics 2 and the Reds nothing. Three, 4, 5. Star on Jackson. He is a semi-star. However, the decider die says he is not. Sad sack on Walt Weiss. He's not. Therefore, it's going to be a men on base result, -1 for the black die if flash or control. Danny Jackson has semi-flash and semi-control. We already used the decider die to check if Jackson was a star pitcher. So therefore, does he have flash? He does. So that 4 will be reduced to a 3. Does he have control? He does not. So that 4 will be immediately reduced to a 3. The A's are not going to pile it on, because they are going to put the runners on at first and second for Mike Gallego. He will take his hacks off the men on base chart of a 26. Home run king, it's home run. Mike Gallego is not a home run king, so therefore it will be a contact result of a 6. Oh, and it's going to be a ground out. So that is a huge break for the Reds, as the A's threaten but do not score here in their half of the third. We go to the bottom half of the inning with the score: A's 2 and the Reds nothing. Three, 5, 5. 3, 5, 5. Here we are. Star pitcher on Stewart. No. Champ on Eric Davis. He's not. That's going to be a no runs result of a 5 blank for flash and a dot for control. That's going to do it for the first 3 innings here at Riverfront Stadium. Your score after 3 innings of play is the 1990 A's 2 and the 1990 Reds nothing. 1-2-5. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, we're in the semi-freshest innings now, so therefore, Danny Jackson, according to the decider die, as dot he's still fresh, blank he's not. Blank reads that he is not fresh. So therefore, it'll be a men on base result with a base running adjustment. Rickey Henderson is an active runner, so he is going to go to second base for Carney Lansford off the men on base chart. 45. Fresh pitcher gets the ground out. And again, dot he's fresh, blank he's not. So what a good bounce back from allowing the leadoff double to get out of the inning with only a runner on second as the A's threaten but do not score. It still remains Athletics 2 and the Reds nothing. 3-4-4. Workman on Stewart. No. Sad sack on Todd Benzinger. He is not. Therefore, it will be a men on base result -1 for the black die if control. Dave Stewart is a semi-control pitcher. However, the decider die says he's not. So therefore, runners at the corners. This could be a good chance for the Reds to tie up the game. Mariano Duncan will hit off the men on base chart. 44. Wild? No, Dave Stewart is not wild. So therefore, it will be a flyout. Dave Stewart is through 4 innings of shutout baseball. We head to the 5th. Your score, A's 2, Reds nothing. 4-4-5. Workman on Jackson. He's not. Hero on Mark McGuire. He's not. That's going to be a no runs result of a 4 blank for Flash and a blank for Control. So that's going to do it for the top half of the 5th. We head to the bottom half of the inning with the score A's 2, Reds nothing. 3-4-5. Star on Stewart. He's not. Sad sack on Oliver. He's not. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die. If Flash or Control, Dave Stewart has both semi qualities for both Flash and Control. We'll take this decider die roll for Flash because it was not used during the previous previous asks for both the pitcher and the batter. So therefore, Stewart has Flash. So that 4 will be reduced to a 3. Does it go to a 2? It will not. So therefore, go big or go home. The Reds are going to place Oliver on at third for Glenn Braggs off the men on base chart. 45. Fresh pitcher gets the ground out. And indeed, I go by as dot he's fresh, blank he's not. Dave Stewart is considered fresh. Therefore, he's going to get the ground out. And folks, Dave Stewart has been on his game. He is through 5 scoreless innings of shutout baseball against the Cincinnati Reds. We head to the 6th inning with your score, A's 2 and the Reds nothing. 2-4-4. Excuse me. Ace pitcher on Jackson. No. Utility on Henderson. He's not. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die. If Control, Danny Jackson has semi-control, and the decider die was not used. 2-4-4. Ace, no. Utility, no. Yes, it was not used. So therefore, that 4 will be reduced to a 3. They're going to place the runners on at first and second. No need to put the runner on third because they're in the lead. They don't need any more runs as Dave Stewart is trying to preserve his 2-0 lead for the Athletics. With that being said, we go to the men on base chart for Felix Jose with a 13. Fresh relief pitcher gets the pop out. Well, again, Danny Jackson, we're in the semi-freshest innings. And of course, according to the decider die, Jackson is not fresh. So therefore, it will be a double and an RBI for Felix Jose, as the runner on second scores, the runner on first scores as well, because it's score on doubles in the second column on the men on base chart. So the A's, the A's are on the left. There we go. The A's lead it 4-0 now, and the Reds manager is saying that's going to do it for my starter, and we're not going to push it any further. So that is with that, the score is now 4-0 as we head to the bottom half of the sixth inning. Four, five, six. 4-5-6. Here we are. Pitcher not fresh. Well, again, we're in the semi-freshest innings, and Dave Stewart is still fresh. Champ on Sabo. He's not. That's going to be a no runs result with the possibility of a solo home run. Chris Sabo is a slugger. Oh, and the black die is a 6. Chris Sabo is going to put a charge into this one. High, deep, and gone. Chris Sabo will break the shutout of Dave Stewart. Man, oh man, oh man. Dave Stewart is hot and hopping mad that he just offered a piece of cheese into the sweet spot of Chris Sabo in the strike zone, and he put a charge into that puppy dog, as it's now A's 4 and the Reds 1. Timeout. Welcome back to Riverfront Stadium here for Game 3 of this episode of World Series Rewind, as we have a new pitcher on the hill for the Cincinnati Reds, as it'll be Randy Myers to pitch for the Redlegs, as he has Ace and Flash credited to his name. For this at-bat against Steinbach, Myers will have the full extent use of the double flash quality. With that being said, the A's still lead it over the Redlegs 4-1 as we resume play here in the top half of the seventh inning. 3-4-4. Workman on Myers. No. Satsack on Steinbach. He's not. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die of control. Myers does not have control, so therefore that 3 is going to stay put. They're going to place the runners on first and second for Walt Weiss. He'll take his hacks off the men on base chart of a 35. Control pitcher. Myers is not a control pitcher, so therefore will be a walk to load up the bases for the Athletics, and Mike Gallego will step up to the dish off the men on base chart. 46. Same reliever gets the strikeout. And looking at it, we don't have the same, but Randy Myers is the reliever, so therefore he will get the strikeout of Mike Gallego, stranding the bases loaded, having a couple ducks on the pond for the Athletics. And with that being said, we head to the stretch. Your score as we head to the bottom half of the seventh inning is A's 4 and the Reds 1. All these fine patrons here at Riverfront Stadium sing a good rendition of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," along with a beautiful chorus of "God Bless America." We do see a new bullpen arm trotting in for the bullpen for the Athletics. We'll see who that is after we take this really quick timeout. The A's manager is not kidding around. The Reds brought in their closer. Now it's the A's turn, as it will be closer for closer, as Dennis Eckersley will be on the hill for the A's, as he has ace, star, flash, and double control. For this at-bat against Billy Hatcher, Dennis Eckersley will have the full extent use of the double flash quality. With that being said, we resume play after these fine patrons here at Riverfront Stadium sing a good rendition of "God Bless America," along with a beautiful chorus of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." The score remains Athletics 4 and the Reds 1, as we play on here in Game 3 of this episode of World Series Rewind. 2-4-6. Star on Eckersley. Yes, that's going to be a no runs result of a 2 blank. And that is going to do it for the first 7 innings here of game 3 for this episode of World Series Rewind. Your score is Athletics 4 and the Reds 1 as we enter the 8th inning here at Riverfront Stadium. 4-4-6. 4-4-6. Here we are. Star on Myers. No. Hero on Henderson. That's going to be a no runs result with a possibility of a solo home run. Rickey Henderson has semi-home run king. However, the decider die says he does not have it. So therefore, that is going to do it for the first 7.5 innings here at Riverfront Stadium. The A's still hang on to a 4-1 lead over the Cincinnati Reds. Uh, 156. 156. Here we are. Ace on Eckersley. Oh, man, yes. That's going to be a no runs result of a 6 dot. And that will seal up the deal for the first 8 innings here at Riverfront Stadium. Time is running out for the Cincinnati Reds. The A's try to look for the reverse sweep in the bottom of the 9th. But before we get there, we have to play the top half of the inning with your score. A's 4 and the Reds 1. 2-3-6. Struggler or Gilded on Myers. No. Sad sack on Lansford. That's going to be an RBI question mark result. And unfortunately, the decider die says yes. The A's will grab another run. It's now 5-1 in favor of the Oakland Athletics. The A's are looking for the reverse sweep coming up next in the bottom of the 9th by the score of 5-1 over the Cincinnati Reds. 3-4-4. Workman on Eckersley. Sad sack on Davis. No. That's going to be a men on base result. -1 for the black die of control. Dennis Eckersley has semi-control, so from 3 to a 1, it's a start though. But the runner will be out on at first base for Todd Benzinger to hit off the men on base chart. 35, control pitcher. Yes, Dennis Eckersley has double control, so therefore it will be a ground out. And that, my friends, is a reverse sweep for the A's as the Athletics win all 3 games of this episode of World Series Rewind. This time for Game 3, the A's would win it by the final score of 5-1. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode of World Series Rewind as we rewound the clock back to 1990 as we featured the Cincinnati Reds and the Oakland Athletics. Well, it seems we ran out of time for today, but never fear. Let's see what's coming up next time here on the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. And folks, we are going to conclude this impromptu rivalry week as we're entitling it this week as it's East versus West, as we are going to relive a Wild Wild West matchup between the Toronto Blue Jays and the California Angels in a game that was played on April 15th, 1994. Your probable starters for this game are Dave Stewart and Brian Anderson. As we are going to go full play next time for the History Maker Baseball Express Hour, we ask, who's going to come out on top? Tune in next time on the History Maker Baseball Express Hour. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the History Maker Baseball Express Hour that was being played with History Maker Baseball Express. We look forward to bringing you more matchups of Rivalry Night, World Series Rewind, Cross Era Showdown, and a blast from the past as we revisit some classic and memorable games from Major League Baseball throughout the 2026 Major League Baseball regular season.